Greetings, MBAP 516 online MBA students. This is Dr. Jaros with a video explanation for how I graded exam number 1. Let's look at the questions. First of all, why is emotional intelligence important to good leadership? Which component of EI is most crucial? Explain. Well, the first part of the question, the answer is, in the author's research, emotional intelligence was found to be twice as important as technical skills and cognitive intelligence as measured by things like IQ tests in determining whether a leader was effective or not. Goleman conducted a series of studies where he compared whether, emotional intelligence, cognitive intelligence, or technical skills were most crucial to leader effectiveness, and he found that emotional intelligence was twice as important as either one of those, and that it increased in importance as we moved up higher levels of the organizational chart. Regarding the component of EI which is most crucial, Goleman believes that social skill is the most important component because it involves interacting with other people, which allows the leader to put the other components of emotional intelligence to work. If you don't have good social skills, then the other components of EI do not matter very much. All right, question number 2. What are the 3 factors that allow a leader to influence his or her subordinates? What 3 organizational characteristics make leadership more difficult for a manager? Explain. According to Lorsch, there are 3 sources of influence for a leader. One is position power, meaning the power the leader has based on their location in the hierarchy, whether they are a CEO or a vice president or a general manager or a supervisor, etc. The second is charisma. Charisma being a characteristic of the leader's personality, the personal magnetism that the leader has that allows him or her to influence other people. And last but not least is perceived competence. People are more likely to follow leaders who they believe know what they are doing and know what they are talking about. So it's important to have, high-level skills so that your subordinates believe that you are competent. As far as the 3 organizational characteristics that make leadership difficult for a manager, Lorsch discusses organizational complexity, which is defined as the size of the organization and the number of levels, meaning the more complex an organization is, the more difficult it is going to be to manage and lead. International geographic dispersion is point number 2. Meaning organizations that have a lot of facilities located in many different countries. This makes being a leader more difficult. And last but not least, the nature of organizational tasks. Organizations that involve complex tasks are more difficult to manage than organizations that involve more simple tasks. Question number 3. Explain the differences we discussed in class among the trait, behavioral, and contingency approaches to leadership. Well, trait leaders are leaders that are born, not made, meaning trait theories of leadership propose that effective leaders are born, not made. That is, that leadership is a function of your genetics, what you inherit from your parents. In contrast, behavioral theories propose that effective leaders are made, not born, because behavioral theories are all about how a leader acts towards their subordinates, and you can mold someone to be a good leader through training. And finally, contingency theories of leadership argue that the best way for a manager to behave towards his or her subordinates to be effective as a leader will depend on characteristics of the situation. All of that said, I did not deduct any points from anyone's answer to this question because looking back on it, the question was poorly worded in my opinion. It wasn't exactly clear as to what I was asking you to describe. So regardless of how you answered the question, I didn't deduct any points. Everyone effectively got full credit for question number 3. Last but not least, question number 4. According to Hertzberg, is offering an employee higher wages or benefits an effective way to motivate them to sustained high performance? Why or why not? Also, what should an organization do to create consistently highly motivated employees? So once again, a two-part question or a multi-part question. The first part of the question, Hertzberg does not believe that offering employees higher wages or benefits is an effective way to motivate them to sustained high performance. Okay? Basically, what Hertzberg says is it motivates employees to seek more raises and benefits, not to perform at a high level. It doesn't sustain involvement. It might provide a temporary boost because the employee might be happy, to receive the raise or the benefits, but it doesn't create sustained long-term motivation. Also, it becomes a one-way ratchet that costs the organization money, meaning if you rely on raising pay or higher wages to motivate your employees, then you constantly have to be increasing their pay in order to get them to be motivated, and that quickly becomes very costly for an organization. Finally, raises and bonuses are an aspect of pay which is a hygiene factor according to Hertzberg's model. Hygiene factors tend to reduce dissatisfaction, but they do not create motivation. So how do we create a high level of sustained motivation? Well, Hertzberg believes that a firm should use a technique called job enrichment. If we create an enriched job environment for an employee, then this will satisfy their motivation factors, meaning their desire for responsibility, autonomy, opportunity for advancement, and growth in learning. And it's these things that really motivate people to have high levels of job performance in organizations. Okay, that's my explanation for how I graded exam number 1. I hope it is helpful to you in terms of understanding the grade you earned on your exam.